Mr. Ritter, I have only one topic for you today. The terrorist attack in St. Petersburg and the murder of the famous Russian military blogger Vladlen Tatarsky. It's happened yesterday. A suspected girl, Daria Trepova, was arrested today. We follow the news. And my question, in your opinion, what does this mean? Why did this happen? Who is to blame? Did Ukraine do this by using Russian people? Your opinion, could it be internal Russian terrorism? Next question. What was the FSB doing this? Why couldn't they prevent this explosion? It's so hard to create a bomb. And what will be Russians' response in this situation? And last question, aren't you afraid for yourself? We are talking about your tour in Russia, and if it takes place, you need everything to go without such incident. Your opinion? Thank you.
Well, first of all, we just don't know right now. The Russian government is carrying out an investigation, and I am loath to speculate. We have a name of an individual who's been detained. In the United States, you are innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. So I'm going to make no presumptions about guilt or innocence of this individual. This is the business of the Russian government, and I have the utmost confidence in the professionalism of the Russian investigators and prosecutors. And if she is deemed to have committed this crime, she will be subjected to a Russian court of law, and then the judicial procedure will determine whether or not she is indeed guilty or innocent. If in the course of their investigation they find that she did not commit a crime, then she should be released. But it's not up to me to prejudge that outcome, so I'm not going to play that game. On the competence of Russian authorities, we can make that claim about any crime that's committed. Why didn't the police stop it? Why did this happen? The fact of the matter is, unless you want to live in an absolute dictatorship, if you want to live in a society where every aspect of your life is scrutinized by government authorities, and even then it won't work. You can't prevent crime from occurring. There are bad people who prey on good people, and crimes occur. Could there have been things that could have been done to stop this? We don't know until we know more about the nature of the crime, who ordered it, etc. But the fact of the matter is, you said it's difficult to make a bomb. It is not difficult to make a bomb. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to make a bomb, but it's not difficult to make a bomb. We're not talking about a significant quantity of explosives. 100, 200 grams, I think, is what they were talking about, with a remote control device. We don't know enough about the triggering of this. Was it done by cell phone, et cetera? But again, I'm not going to get into the design of explosives in its nature, but any notion that this is too hard for people to do, it's not. And it can be done by those people who are determined to commit crimes, just like any crime can be done. Could there have been more to prevent this? That's a decision that Mr. Foman and his associates. It's too late for Mr. Foman. It's tragedy. Mm-hmm. But that's a decision they had to make when they set up this event. Clearly, he is a high-profile journalist, or he was a high-profile journalist. And clearly, the stance he took was one that ran counter to that which is being promulgated by the Ukrainian government and its Western supporters. We know that he was targeted for death. He was on the Mirotvorets hit list. Now, they haven't taken claim for his death yet, but the fact of the matter, the risk was there. Should they have done things differently? Again, we don't know what he did or didn't do at this point in time. At least I don't. So I'm not going to speculate about failures of security on the part of Mr. Foman. Clearly, there was a failure. A bomb got through, delivered by a woman who admits she delivered it. And it exploded. He died. Over 30 people have been injured. This is a crime. This is a tragedy. It's not a good thing. But to sit here and second guess the FSB and Russian security is irresponsible at this point. Let's find the facts out. Let's determine what happened. And when I say let's, it's not us. Let them find the facts out. Let them determine, what could or couldn't have been done. And then we, as free-thinking citizens of the world, have a right to express an opinion. But to express a definitive opinion at this point in time, so early in the process, is not helpful. It's not helpful to those who are investigating. It's not helpful to those who have suffered, the families of those who died and who are injured, the friends. And it's not helpful to any analyst who does this. Your reputation is on the line, and I think it's the sign of a lack of professionalism to try and immediately jump to a conclusion. Look, emotions are high. There's no doubt about that. And so people will act emotionally. And that's understandable. But in times like these, I think people who turn to analysts are turning to people who are sober-minded, who can evaluate the facts. And we need the facts to be assembled before we can evaluate. So it's just premature to make a specific judgment about that specific crime. Now, you asked me a personal question. Mm-hmm. I too am on the Mirtvorets hit list. I too have been targeted for death by the Ukrainian Special Services. I am the #1 name on the Center for Countering Disinformation's list of international information terrorists. They have encouraged my government and governments around the world to treat me as a terrorist, not just an information terrorist, but a terrorist, as a war criminal. Do I take this lightly? No, I don't. It's a serious situation, made even more so by the fact that my government is silent about myself and other Americans and other journalists about children being on the Mirtvorets hit list. Silent. My government is silent on this. And in regards to the Center for Countering Disinformation's list, my government funds this list, supports this list, organizes the meetings of the Center for Countering Disinformation where they promulgate this list. So my government made this list. I'm on my government's list. Yeah, so that doesn't make me feel too good about this. Now, what to do? On the one hand, one shouldn't be foolhardy, especially when one deals with the lives of his children. And my daughters are planning to accompany me on this tour. So, of course, this is something that weighs on the mind. But two, if you allow yourself to be intimidated by terrorists, by people who carry out actions of this nature for the sole purpose of suppressing free speech, suppressing independent analysis, suppressing the truth, then they win. It's a victory for them. So you have to find a balance between the two. The other thing is this trip, which I still plan on taking. It's not my decision. If this trip is canceled, it won't be because I backed out. It'll be because responsible authorities determined that the risks posed by this trip would be too great to justify the trip. I'm not saying that they've made that decision. I'm saying that's their decision to make. Mm-hmm. I have made a decision that if given this opportunity, I will go on this trip. Because it's not just about standing up terrorists, but there's a larger issue at stake here. And that's the issue of building bridges between the United States and Russia. Trying to break down Russophobia, break down ignorance-based fear. And attached to that, failure to do this means that in the United States, we will continue to be impacted by this ignorance, this Russophobia. And as a result, our politicians will not be pressured to change policy directions, particularly in arms control. And this could lead to dire consequences. And when I say dire, I don't mean to scare anybody in the audience, but we're all going to die. That's what nuclear war does. If you don't believe so, then you're a fool. Okay, and we are talking about a situation now where the United States and Russia are on a path that would probably result in a nuclear conflict if we don't get off this path. And the principal reason why we're on this path is the policies of the United States government, my government. So I have a duty and responsibility to my daughters, indeed to the daughters, the sons, the grandchildren of every American and every Russian and everybody in the world, to do whatever I can. I don't claim that I alone can do this, but one of the things that I talk about in relation to this trip is the need for everybody to, especially Americans, to discover their inner Van Cliburn. Van Cliburn, of course, being the famous American piano player who in 1958 went to Moscow and participated in the Tchaikovsky Music Festival, taking first place. And in doing so, he opened up the minds of both Americans and Soviets alike to the possibility of peace. Leadership is done by example. And I've always considered myself to be a leader as a Marine, as a United Nations inspector, and today in what I'm doing. And so I choose to lead by example. If I ask people to discover their inner Van Cliburn, that means that I too must discover my inner Van Cliburn. And right now I have an opportunity to follow in the footsteps of Van Cliburn, but not just Van Cliburn, Samantha Smith, that brave young woman who went to the Soviet Union and helped break down these things. It's something that we all must do. But if I back down now, if I show fear now, if I'm allowed myself to be intimidated now, we don't have time. We don't have time. And I think this is one of the goals and objectives of those who carry out attacks of this nature, to paralyze people, paralyze society. And if we allow ourselves to be paralyzed, then we are responsible for the fate that befalls us. Life is precious, but life is not guaranteed. There are many things that can happen. I could walk out today and have a tree fall on my head. I could get in my car and have an accident that was unavoidable. I could have a hidden health problem that just sums up and I die of a heart attack or a brain aneurysm. We don't know. But you can't allow your life to be dictated by the unknowns. You must take advantage of the knowns, of the possibilities. You must live life every day with, a vigor and an enthusiasm that shows respect for the gift that whatever the higher being you want to call it has given you. And I choose to do that. My daughters choose to do that. Hopefully other people will choose to do that. And we will go on this journey, this building bridges of peace, this discovering our inner Van Cliburn. And if it's delayed, it's delayed, but it won't be canceled. You can't cancel this kind of mission. This is a mission that can't be canceled, because to cancel it means we cancel our future. And I'm not going to participate in the cancellation of my future, my daughter's future, or anybody else's future.